What do you reckon? Is that it, Carmen? Are we good to go? Are we rocking and rolling?
Unless you want one more.
Oh, well, let's throw it to the crowd. What do you guys want to do? Another song and let people assemble, or do we play another song? And we have a water picker. Oh, man, did you choose the wrong night to show up? Tonight's show is absolutely jam-packed, but there might be a little bit of space for some discussion at the end, picker. Anyway, you with Dumpster Truffles broadcasting around the world and across the galaxy. You're in for a hell of a show tonight. We've got Carmen's Devotional, as usual. Then we've got some stuff from Puppy Max. Now, Puppy's actually got workmen in his house at the moment. He will not be joining us this evening. He's not in a bad position or anything. He just can't he can't operate the computer while they're pulling the tiles off his bathroom wall. And so after Puppy's stuff that I'll address, it's all videos anyway. So that should be fairly straightforward. So, Carmen?
Excuse the back from my... Hey.
Yo.
I'm not even staying up all that long. I just wanted to pop in and say hi.
How you doing, man? How's the revolution?
Pretty good. I did a nice conversation with the people on Patriot News. Storm can attest it. Though I took some NyQuil, so I'm starting to fade fast.
Okie dokes. Yeah, okay. So after puppy stuff, I've got a few bits and pieces that need to be discussed. And it's just a pick and mix that I've got this evening. I've got 4 articles. One of them's quite long, the rest are quite short, but they're all about what's going on in America at the moment. Then, for the 4th slot, get this, we have a special guest. We have Spanner 322 on board. And Spanner's going to be telling us that the last 120 years of colonial rule by Commonwealth governments has been illegal. And, yeah.
For non-American viewers that are not paying attention to American news, it's a dumpster fire right now, so it's going to be very fun.
It's going to be fun for the Yankees too, because I believe Spanner will be addressing the illegal corporation of America. So it all ties into the one thing. It's an international show. It's not an Australian show. Not yet, anyway.
I know, just getting a preview for those who are not Yanks. The dumpster fire is particularly on fire tonight.
Americans. Our beautiful American people.
As I mean, the left is not trying to appease a dumpster fire, though.
And there you go. Spanner, Carmen just dropped the link. What constitution? ? And there's the YouTube link for you there, mate.
Yes, mate. It's the actual Commonwealth Constitution, 1900 Act preamble of Australia.
Okay, guys. It looks like we were ready to rock and roll. Carmen, take it away, please.
A minute.
You got it. And might I say hello to everyone out there in YouTube. It's good to have you with us. We got Lane, Storm, Rhoda, and PG for Freedom. I don't recognize your handle, PG, but good morning. Glad to be with you this morning for you. Welcome aboard, PG. And yeah, I'll remind you guys, YouTube is shadow banning my stuff. The only way you'll find it is a direct subscription to my channel, which will give you alerts. At the moment, we're only doing Fridays. That will change, so sub to my channel, and that way you'll be sure not to miss a dumpster dive with Dumpster and Aussie Patriot, Carmen Morrison, Chook Chook, Elvis the Robot, and we got Mark riding shotgun, and we got Spanner up front.
People.
Hi, everyone.
Yeah, that's Mark. He just joined. So everyone say hello to Mark Les.
Hey, Mark.
For those of you who don't know her, that's the beautiful, sweet siren song of Aussie Patriot.
Yes, sorry. Aussie Patriot here.
And, yeah, do you want to roll, Carmen?
Yeah, I'm ready. Yeah, I was thinking, with the world being so full of turmoil, what scripture could we turn to find peace? And I think the 23rd Psalm is the one that answers that question of where to find peace. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. The Lord is my shepherd. There are two allegories in this psalm which are admirably well adapted to the purpose for which they are produced, and supported both with art and elegance. The first is that of a shepherd, the second that of a great feast, set out by a host, the most kind and the most liberal. As a flock, they have the most excellent pasture. As guests, they have the most nutritive and abundant fare. God condescends to call himself the shepherd of his people, and his followers are considered as a flock under his guidance and direction. He leads them out and in so that they find pasture and safety. He knows where to feed them, and in the course of his grace and providence leads them in the way in which they should go. He watches over them and keeps them from being destroyed by ravenous beasts. If any have strayed, he brings them back. He brings them to the shade in times of scorching heat. In times of persecution and affliction, he finds out an asylum for them. He takes care that they shall lack no manner of thing that is good. But who are his flock? All real penitents, all true believers, all who obediently follow his example, abstaining from every appearance of evil, and in a holy life and conversation, showing forth the virtues of him who called them from darkness into his marvelous light. My sheep hear my voice and follow me, he said. But who are not his flock? Neither the backslider in heart, nor the vile antinomian, who thinks the more he sins, the more the grace of God shall be magnified in saving him, nor those who fondly suppose they are covered with the righteousness of Christ while living in sin, nor the crowd of the indifferent and the careless, nor the immense herd of Laodicean loiterers, nor the fiery bigots who would exclude all from heaven but themselves and the party who believe as they do. These the Scripture resembles to swine, dogs, wandering stars, foxes, lions, wells without water, etc. Let not any of these come forward to feed on this pasture, or to take of the children's bread. Jesus Christ is the Good Shepherd, the shepherd who, to save his flock, laid down his own life. I shall not want. How can they? He who is their shepherd has all power in heaven and earth, therefore he can protect them. The silver and gold are his, and the cattle on 1,000 hills, and the hills themselves, and therefore he can sustain them. He has all that they need, and his heart is full of love to mankind, and therefore he will withhold from them no manner of thing that is good. And it's been a long time since we've prayed the Lord's Prayer together. And just to keep it fresh in our minds and in our hearts, I think it would be good to finish with it. It comes from Matthew chapter 6, verse 9 through 13. After this manner therefore pray ye, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Amen.
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 Amen. Amen.
Carmen, that was beautiful. And given the
Beautiful.
circumstances that you guys are living through at the moment, it was perfectly appropriate. The message I got out of that was that we are to live God's plan. It's not enough to say that, yes, I believe in Jesus, so forth. We need to live with faith in God and live God's plan. Would that be the point of the devotional?
Yes, if we follow him, he'll lead us through where we need to go, and he'll protect us on our way.
Beautiful. Okie dokes, folks. Do we have a song or do we roll with puppy stuff? Group vote. What do you guys reckon?
Well, if you've got puppy stuff ready, you can go ahead. I would have to go find a song. I didn't have that ready, and the bot went away. I'd have to resummon him.
That's okay. I'll roll with puppy's stuff immediately. We'll get a song at the other end of this, perhaps.
Okay.
Okay, the first thing I'm going to play you is Patrick Gunnels. And basically, Patrick Gunnels has given us carte blanche to use his material in our show. So don't get us for copyright YouTube. We got the man's permission in writing. Now, I'm not sure what the correct sequence to play these in. I guess I'll start at the bottom and work my way up. Hang on, and before I start, let me just say to the rest of you guys, Puppy's joining us because they've got workmen tearing apart his bathroom. The man is well.
Had a friend from Sierra Leone. He spoke of people getting hacked to death with machetes and watching his mother's house get burned down. It was always really fun when some idiot would try to start whining about the U.S. and how bad it was. He would destroy them, to the point of tears. Carlos responds, "When I lived in San Francisco, I regularly ate at a small restaurant 2 doors down. It was owned by a Burmese immigrant, who was also one of the chefs and waiters. He cooked and served. After Rodney King got beaten, but before the first trial, I was in the restaurant when a San Franciscan started bitching loudly about how this is the worst country in the world for police brutality. There was a crash in the kitchen. The Burmese man came storming out and started yelling, 'Rodney King got beaten, and the whole country is up in arms. Even the president is talking about it. In my country, the police shoot and kill hundreds without repercussion. They mow down crowds. Nobody say or does anything to stop them. I've lost family members, and you dare to say this is the worst country in the world for police brutality?' Silence from the loudmouthed lefty. 'No answer? Get out of my restaurant and never come back.' The table of lefties sullenly got up and left. My girlfriend and I applauded. We got nasty stares. See, reality doesn't matter, only the narrative. The fact that this man had experienced police murder simply made everyone angry that he was bursting their balloon. You can't change the minds of fanatical leftists. In the country where I was born, the police extorted and murdered with impunity. They came after us once, and my father killed all 4 of them. He had a Browning automatic rifle that he'd converted into a carbine. He also made 30-round magazines in his workshop. The cops pulled us over, and when they came over to the car, my father opened fire. He killed the 2 on the driver's side, and then he got out and killed the 2 running away. It took about 4 seconds. We were out on a desolate road with no traffic. My father got back into the car, changed magazines on his rifle, and put it back in the holster he'd built in the front seat. In those days, cars had bench seats, so nobody expected a rifle in a leather-lined slot. Nothing ever happened, so either they never knew who did it or my father used his connections to get the cops to back off. From what I was able to gather, They'd been after him for a while. I think the plan was to kidnap his children. Everyone was terrified of the cops, so they had gotten complacent. These 4 men didn't have their weapons out. They clearly didn't expect my father to put up any kind of fight, but he was an experienced veteran of the Korean War. Decades later, an American company duplicated the rifle my father built. They called it the Heavy Counter Assault Rifle, HCAR. It's been out of stock since it was introduced. Someone's buying it up. My father's version was fully automatic. He killed the 4 cops with 4 bursts. Since violence was so commonplace, none of us in the car even screamed or anything. As we were driving home, all my father said was, "Those were cops, dirty cops. They had it coming." Too many Americans don't appreciate how good we have it here. Burning down cities over actions of 4 cops isn't making your voice heard. It's just self-indulgence that's going to make everything worse for black people. Minneapolis says it's going to abolish the police, and in every blue state, the cops will stop policing black neighborhoods. Gang units will be disbanded. Watch the black homicide rate go through the roof. The homicide rate for everyone else will keep dropping. The only safe place for American blacks will be in red states. They can thank white leftists for the coming bloodbath. And all the white leftists will move out after enabling the bloodbath. There won't be anything Donald Trump can do to stop it. The thing about leftists is that the worse things get, they always say it's because we aren't leftist enough. Leftism is in a death spiral. It has to happen. Unfortunately, lots of innocent people will pay the price.
Okay, guys, that's the first video out of the way. Does anyone have anything to say or add before I roll with the next article?
Right.
Am I still on?
Yeah. Just a little small break before I roll with the next article.
Cool.
Okay.
You want to go?
Okay, I'm good to go with the next one. This is Cosweda reading Epic Threads. And I haven't actually seen this one yet.
A thread from Carlos Osweda. Dear Tim Pool, again, people ask me why I write threads to you. Because I like you. I know you're concerned. But you need to have a little faith in Donald Trump. This thread is in response to a video from Tim Pool entitled, SJW's just formally declared a coup at the New York Times. This won't end well. The reality is that we will never have a civil war here. Never. Look at the current madness. We're all armed. Have we gone out and mowed down leftists in retaliation? No. Let me tell you what happened in my little city in California a few nights ago. The city announced an emergency curfew that began at 8 p.m. All the stores closed. For the first time in 30 years, the church down the street didn't light the bell tower. There are 4 giant radio masts that I can see from my house. For the first time in 30 years, they turned off the red blinking anti-collision lights. All civilian air traffic was rerouted. All freight trains stopped. Earlier that morning, I'd gone to the 7-Eleven and spoken to 2 LA County Sheriff's Department deputies. They've been very stressed out lately. It was an older, 35-ish, shaven-headed man and a very young man who looked like he was out of high school. So how are you guys? I asked. The older deputy said, excellent. He seemed delirious with joy. The younger deputy looked haunted. Really busy, he said. Big day. Busy day. I'd heard no sirens all day. You guys be careful, I said. Always, said the joyful deputy. I will. The main duty is to get home to your family every night, the younger one said. Both were buying massive energy drinks. So, at 8 p.m., an eerie silence fell over the city. No traffic at all. At around 8:30, I heard what I thought were stadium-sized mortar fireworks going off, followed by what sounded like a string of M80s. All my neighbors set off illegal fireworks night and day. At around 9:30, a C-130 Hercules flew over my house. I recognized the engine sound. Now I share my screen for the rest of this. A Saudi C-130, insane terrain hugging low flight. You won't hear it, but you will see this insane low flight. That's a C-130 Hercules. At 10 p.m., everything went back to normal, as if a switch had been thrown. Now, I read lots of counterintelligence reports, and my city is a hub for the Gulf cartels and MS-13. Something happened. Vice President Pence explained today from Pence, we have no tolerance for violence against any individual in this country, no tolerance for police brutality, and no tolerance for rioting in the streets or looting, the destruction of property, or the claiming of innocent lives, including the lives of law enforcement. That's one of the reasons the president took the strong action earlier this week, working with governors to deploy resources and personnel to our streets. And I'm pleased to report that in cities across the country, we've quelled the violence and made space for peaceful protesters to continue to let their voice be heard. From whitehouse.gov. Trump is a student of the Chinese military strategist Sun Tzu. From Sun Tzu, let your plans be dark and impenetrable as night, and when you move, fall like a thunderbolt. Trump will always distract, misdirect, and deceive. When he said he'd send in the military, he let everyone think he meant sending in conventional forces to stand around with rifles the way they did in Watts and in Los Angeles. No, this was way different. The governor of Minnesota said they had well-trained urban terrorists from foreign countries. Remember how the violence stopped in one night? The cops released a funny statement that they stopped all the cars full of tools to wreak havoc, and in every case, the passengers escaped on foot. Do you believe that? In every single case? Witnesses said that these guys were breaking into buildings and setting fires in seconds. They were firing on and using improvised explosive devices on the cops and firefighters. One night, the governor said that there weren't enough cops and National Guard in the whole state. The next night, the violence was over, and they captured all the cars without license plates being used by the well-trained urban terrorists. But even with police helicopters, all the people in the cars escaped. Imagine that. One of the reasons James Mattis was fired as Secretary of Defense was that he refused to adapt to Trump's vision of the armed forces. The other reason Mattis was fired was that he was trying to start a war with Iran. More young men and women sent into the meat grinder. You should study the Battle of Mosul. Saudi, the people you hate, Emirati, Bahraini, and almost certainly Omani commandos fought the way Trump is transforming our armed forces. Small units called combined arms micro teams are virtually autonomous. Each team has all the weapons it needs. One infantry squad, one sniper squad, one mortar squad, one tank, and one aircraft. The aircraft can be fixed wing or rotary. Other components can be added as necessary. Detached machine gun squads, hand grenade squads, and grenade launcher squads roam the battlefield, fighting or answering calls. See, the secret is the digital battlefield map. Every single soldier and vehicle appears on the map as a dot assigned a number. The generals give their men an objective. The colonels relay that objective to the majors, who each have several captains and lieutenants order their command. Each micro team is commanded by a captain or lieutenant. The micro teams decide for themselves how to best take the objective. In Mosul, Iraqi generals went to the front lines to be briefed, not to give orders. Majors watched all their micro teams and reported to colonels, who briefed the generals. The generals saw everything on digital maps. In all the videos I saw of Mosul, the generals only asked questions. Some of these men are in their 60s. They all adapted to the new technology immediately. Because there were no well-defined front lines, the generals were able to get as close to the fighting as possible. They traveled unarmed, with one or two staffers. After October of 2015, the Iraqis lost no generals in combat. They were protected by drones. October of 2015 was when the Iraqis asked the Saudis for help. Over the next 2 years, not once were the foreign Arab assault troops filmed. Iraqis were trained in Saudi Arabia and in the UAE, and as they became proficient, they replaced the foreigners. Virtually all Iraqi Jews fled to Israel decades ago. Some came back to help. This old commando is an Iraqi Jew, which is why he covers his head indoors. The man filming was given the stink eye by all the Iraqi commandos in the room. Obviously, they feel close to the Jewish Iraqi, a veteran of the IDF. When the Jewish Iraqi took off his handkerchief, the young commandos glared at the cameraman. Okay, that one, and this one gives the cameraman a glare. Just one more look at that guy. Look at the really scary guy on the left. He doesn't like the fact that the Jewish Iraqi uncovered his head. He's the scary one, obviously. Hates it. I call the man on the left the angel of death. Except for his head, he doesn't move a muscle of his body the whole time. Note the guy on the left. Carlos calls him the angel of death. Defeating the Islamic State was an international effort by men trained by the Saudis and the Emiratis. We never saw men like this in combat. That's because they used new weapons. So, Mattis kept demanding that Trump give permission for platoon-sized units to move. Mattis also pushed for years for war, real neocon invasion occupation war with Iran. So Trump finally had enough and canned him. All these old military bastards lying about Trump are warmongers who can't accept a world in which we have binary relationships with everyone. They're obsolete. Another factor in all this is that there are 1,000 plus federal tactical teams. People are shocked and angered by that. But they better be damn grateful that we have them. This was a major attempt at insurrection, years in the planning, and it was stopped in about 3 days. Have you watched police helicopter videos? All cities are digitally mapped. From news9.com, let's take a quick look. There's a digital map right there, people. Oh, maybe it's been taken away. Well, you saw the digital map. In any event, moving right along. Quote from the article from News9.com. A new technology is making it easier for Tulsa police to find criminals from the air. The new system lets the helicopter pilot see street names or other landmarks on a computer in the cockpit. The feds have mapped every city in the country. So the Mosul battlefield technology is used here. Terrorists don't have a chance. No civil war. No collapse. Trust Trump.
Okie dokes, folks. We're now into the third video. This one's only 5 minutes long. This is Patrick Gunnels with commentary. This relates to social media and so forth. I'll let you guys know when you can speak again, okay?
A thread from Comrade Fudge. The first thing we notice is a tweet posted by Paul Joseph Watson, a simple Twitter search for the word racist, and then you scroll to People tab, and Donald J. Trump is the very first result. Comrade Fudge responds, "Why is Trump still on Twitter? Why does Trump not push back harder and flex some executive muscle against Twitter? Why hasn't he moved on to a different, less abusive platform? Why is Trump still here? And by extension, why are the rest of us still here? I would like to present two aspects of strategy that explains this phenomenon. First, the principle, make sure they see you sharpen your sword before you fall on it. Okay, seems a bit extreme, right? But think about what it's saying. Think about it more metaphorically. What if, by enduring suffering, by enduring unfair treatment, you actually benefit from a net gain in your position? Make sure they see you is the key here. If you're going to suffer persecution, make sure everyone is aware of the persecution. Make sure it's very visible. Sharpen your sword. That is the exaggeration of the persecution being suffered. Really, what's Twitter doing? Fucking with how people can search him? Throwing bullshit notes on his post? Does any of that actually hurt Trump? Like, really? Does it? It doesn't. What is happening is that by enduring this unfair treatment, Trump is causing those who support him to calcify in their support for him, and those on the fence can be persuaded that he's being treated unfairly. That's how the most powerful man in the world seems like an underdog. Every additional action Twitter takes against Trump, Trump makes into a controversy. He makes it into Batman Gambit. By complaining about it, he'll goad the leftist media into celebrating it. By them celebrating it, Trump is maximizing the visibility of the unfair treatment. Trump stays on the platform because the persecution is literally a win-win for him. If they back off, he wins. If they go further, he wins harder. It is a heads-I-win, tails-you-lose situation. So, what about the rest of us? By acting as the ideological leader, Trump placing his primary efforts on this platform marks Twitter as the battleground. It is an extremely hostile battleground, deep in enemy territory with no route of escape. It's what is called killing grounds. Killing grounds is a strategic concept wherein if you lead your soldiers onto a battlefield from which there is no option to retreat, they will fight harder. Trump, by staking out his position here on Twitter, causes the rest of us to be here, following him. The lack of a path of retreat, because Trump won't abandon this platform, the extremely hostile nature of Twitter towards conservatives, it calcifies our resolve to keep fighting. This is where the social battlefield is. This is enemy territory. This is where you can strike out at the blue-check socialists and journalists, but I repeat myself, directly, where all other instances, they're completely cut off from everyday social contact. What does Twitter banning an account actually do? What does throttling us actually do? Project Veritas already showed us proof that Twitter's employees are trying to mentally torture us into quitting by subtly silencing our accounts. Is that the best those fucksticks can do? Trump has created, by remaining on this abusive platform and in turn forcing the rest of us to stay in here, a battlefield in which he benefits simply by being present. The more abuse hurled at us and at him, the more he benefits and the more support calcifies around him. Granted, we do have conservative Valhalla over at Quadverum, so feel free to go chill there at social.quadverum.com if you do get tired of the fighting here. No one ever said that we had to stick around on this blue shit heap of a platform.
And there you go. That's the end of the Patrick Gunnels section. That man has a flamethrower of truth. And he's right. He's absolutely dead right when he says, what the hell are we doing on YouTube? There will come a time when YouTube will be replaced, and I'll be the first to jump ship. So that's Patrick Gunnels, and if you're listening, Patrick, thank you very much. And Lane Lair out in YouTube says, did Dumpster just send us to the dunce chair? No, Lane, you've missed the point. People are all at different points in their journey, so I'm not going to make any assumed knowledge about your personal circumstance. And we got Regina. Hey, Reggie. And Bindi Man. And perhaps a song coming.
Okay.
You know, I've been hearing more and more about a thing called fake news. Fake news. I've seen people destroyed, and I think it's very unfair. Some of the media outlets that I deal with the fake news. Fake news. I think it's a disgrace, an absolute disgrace, but I don't think they care. Well, first of all, one of the reasons I'm here today is to tell you the whole Russian thing, that's a ruse. It's a ruse. I own nothing in Russia. I don't have any deals in Russia. Russia is fake news. I just see many untruthful things. The press has become so dishonest. The public doesn't believe you people anymore. You have a lower approval rate than Congress. And I've been hearing more and more about a thing called fake news. Fake news. I've seen people destroyed, and I think it's very unfair. Some of the media outlets that I deal with the fake news. Fake news. I think it's a disgrace, an absolute disgrace, but I don't think they care. I'll tell you something, I don't mind bad stories. I can handle a bad story better than anybody as long as it's true. But I'm not okay when it is fake. It's all fake news. I mean, it's story after story after story. We're not gonna let it happen again. The public gets it. When I go to rallies, they want to throw their placards to CNN. Here's the thing. I want to see an honest press. I want to see an honest press. I want to see an honest press. It's so important to see an honest press. I want to see an honest press. I want to see an honest press, but our nation's reporters will not tell you the truth. So I'll go over just some of them. MSNBC, you are fake news. The New York Times, you are fake news. CBS, NBC, ABC, BBC, LA Times, you are fake news. The Washington Post, you are fake news. CNN, very fake news. Politico, AP, HuffPo, BuzzFeed, failing pile of garbage. I've been hearing more and more about a thing called fake news. Fake news. I've seen people destroyed, and I think it's very unfair. Some of the media outlets that I deal with the fake news. Fake news. I think it's a disgrace, an absolute disgrace, but I don't think they care.
And there we go. That was a great little song there. Everybody thank Carmen. And if anyone has anything that needs to be addressed now would be a great time to address it. Other than that, I'll roll with my section. That looks like a go. Good morning, Karen. Okay, just a moment while I go through my files, please. And Carmen, I will be working at the bottom of the list and going to the top of the list in my files. There's only 4 items. I'm starting at the bottom and going to the top.
Okay.
Okay, this article, to me, meets the definition of civil war in America. This comes from the blogger.blogspot.com, and it's from June the 10th, so it's 1 day old for you guys, 2 days old for us here in Oz. And I can't find a byline. But anyway, it reads, Civil War. Anarchists declare autonomous zone in Seattle. Autonomous zone, they've actually taken control of a chunk of geography in Seattle, and they coerce local residents to agree to dissolve bonds with Seattle. Police abandon precinct, Antifa and BLM occupy it. Yes, you heard that right. Police abandoned an entire precinct to Antifa. So, to get into the article, Seattle Mayor Jenny is allowing a dangerous situation to fester. Antifa have taken over and created an autonomous zone in the city with their own rules. Police precinct abandoned. Antifa set up barricades to create a border, calling for volunteers to provide armed guards. Police officers shared their highly sensitive documents, complaints, records of who informants are, as they bug out of the police station and leave it to Antifa and BLM. The first night in the so-called Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone that has formed in the wake of police giving up the week-long blockade of the East Precinct. It was rainy and peaceful, and full of speeches from activists, agitators, poets, and socialist city council members. I guess whatever the F we're doing is effective, one organizer identified as Magic said over a megaphone early in the night as police were still clearing the area. The surprise pullback of SPD, riot police, and National Guard troops came together quickly on Monday afternoon after a day of hastily clearing out equipment, moving trucks, and reports of a mobile shredding unit at the building at 12th and Pine. This building is home to the East Precinct headquarters as well as department office facilities. Just a moment. And the tail end to this quick article is, the decision has been made to allow demonstrators to march past the East Precinct later today. An announcement sent to department staff about the decision to close the building read. Additional measures are currently underway to enhance our ongoing efforts to ensure the security of our East Precinct and provide for the safety of all of our officers. Now, I don't know about you, but if they've taken over a 6-block chunk of a major American city, this meets every technical, legal, every convention about civil war that you can imagine. This is it. I'm calling civil war in America. It's already started. I know Patrick Gunnell said that there won't be a civil war. There will be a civil war, but it will be short and pathetic. Antifa, they are paid, they are poorly trained, they are poorly armed. And if the military is on Donald Trump's side, this is going to be the shortest, most pathetic civil war ever. That's not to say there won't be a civil war, but it'll be short and brutal. And the left will not be on the winning end of that stick, that's for sure. I'll jump to my next article. Okay, this is a doozy of a document. I enjoyed this enormously. This is from 2019, December 19th, 2019. And it's called, it comes from an outfit called the AI Organization. And the byline is AI Organization. And it's from December 19th, 29. The headline reads, get this, Google, Facebook, Neuralink sued for weaponized artificial intelligence technology transfer, complicity to genocide in China, and endangering humanity with the misuse of artificial intelligence. Okay, now this is just a civil action. This is just a civil lawsuit, but I'll get into a little bit of the meat here. Where was I? This is the most significant and important lawsuit of the 21st century, and that's not putting too fine a point on it, I think. And it impacts the entire world. Chief executive officers and founders Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, Sergey Brin, Larry Page, and Sundar Pichai are also named as defendants along with their companies. So what follows is a case summary of the facts. Endangering humanity with the misuse of artificial intelligence, complicity and aiding in physical genocide inside of China by transferring artificial intelligence technology, engaging in cultural genocide of humanity, and controlling and programming the human race by social engineering via artificial intelligence coding and artificial intelligent algorithmic biometric manipulation. To continue, this is phase one of the first lawsuit. We are open for support at a global level. We have a network of thousands around the world and tens of thousands in China who are witnesses and have been harmed in China from the defendants, that's the bad guys, from the defendants' technology and data transfer. What follows is a federal case complaint summary extracted from the official documents filed in San Diego, California. To find out details of financial, personal, and corrective behavioral demands, you may access the case in the federal court database. Okay, I'm going to pick and choose from the rest of the document. We've got point 1, endangering and threatening all of the world's citizens and humanity by misusing and weaponizing artificial intelligence. Quantum computing, robotics, 5G, machines, smartphones, smart homes, smart cities, Internet of Things, holograms, mixed reality, nanotechnology, cloning, genetic editing, cybernetics, bioengineering, and the creation of a digital artificial intelligence brain linked to Google's search engine with the use and extraction of humanity's biometric data. Basically, they're going to use technology to control absolutely every single thing about you. Your house, your car, your life, your genetic profile, your access to information, money, everything. It's called full spectrum dominance. Okay, jumping ahead just a little bit. Human bodies' neural networks that I'm jumping in halfway through a sentence. This is out of sync. Human bodies' neural networks that reprograms all human beings through social engineering and biodigital social programming without their consent, knowledge, understanding, or free will, extracting humanity's digital footprints in breach of the Nuremberg laws, and engaging in irresponsible and unsafe research and development of artificial general intelligence or artificial superintelligence that could enslave or kill off humanity or give the power to the defendants, that's the bad guys, to enslave humanity in numerous ways on the 5G grid and other developing networks. Point 2 talks about the genocide of millions in China. I'm not going to touch that one. The third one talks about transfer and providing information to China. And all I'll say here is that there is a city in China called, hang on, Spanner, would you like to jump in for a moment, mate? This would be a great time. When you're ready, mate.
Yes, Yes, mate. Listen, I've got a little bit, sort of like to say about this. It's people don't realise that it's a game of division. So what's with the division? Most of the white people around the world and most of the black people around the world are born on the land. The point is they are native to their land. When are people going to wake up and stop this BS? It gets too far. It's not white against black, and it's not black against white or any colour. It's a political diversion. Understand that. To take your mind off what apparently is a criminal government corporation entity. I'm very hard on this due to the fact is people need to wake up. It's nothing to do with colour. It's nothing to do with who you are, what you are. If you were born on the land, it's time people take their blinkers off and understand it. Divided we're weak, together we're strong. Even coloured admit that the people, were coming from, and came to, their land. So what? If you were born on the land, that means you are a part of that land.
Beautifully said.
White and colour, they were born on their native land, are people of that land. All people's lives matter. Love, not hate. Peace, not war. Life, not death. Share, not greed. Harmony, not fear. Care, not violence. Freedom, not dictatorship. Cause no harm, no injury, no loss to another. Not violence. Understand, not ignore. Beliefs and truths, not lies. Disbeliefs, deception. Time people woke up to this, mate. And as I said, lots of people of all colour are getting hurt out of this. It's time this shit stopped. Oh, bomb.
That was very well said. And remember that our circumstances here in Australia and in America, thank the good Lord that we are not living in China. Yeah, I'm happy to be a citizen of this land now that you mention it, Spanner.
No, you're a man and woman of the land, mate.
A man of the land. I like that.
A man and woman of the land for them people out there. You are free people.
Okay, so...
Well, they were born free.
They were born free, mate. They were born free to the land.
Okay. Shall I get back to the article, or?
Yes, go for it, mate. Go for it. Yeah.
No,
sorry for interrupting, but yeah.
Thank you for the comments.
Yeah, I'm very...
Okay, so the third point of this document is about transferring and providing to China's government and its companies knowledge, data, capabilities, and technology to weaponize artificial intelligence. And the Chinese are definitely doing this. There is a city called Chongqing in China, and this isn't the article, this is my own information here. And it's the world's first truly smart city. Everything is controlled about a person's interaction. And giving artificial intelligence of this type to the Chinese, it's like putting a carton of hand grenades in a kindergarten. Point 4 I'm going to jump over. That talks about Chinese organ harvesting, organ trafficking, etc. And then okay, I'm going to pick it up at point 9. Creating platforms that is on the verge of developing artificial general intelligence and the subsequent super intelligence that will be beyond the control of human beings, working at Neuralink, Alphabet, DeepMind, Google, Facebook, or governments.
So basically like the Terminator movie, is that what you're saying, Dubster?
It won't be the Terminator movie. I think that's a bit dystopian. But we are going to end up with a situation where we will be dealing with artificial intelligence. But that's for another day. Artificial intelligence is one very small part of this whole thing. Just a moment while I go through my files. And that document was written by Cyrus A. Parser, who's a member of the AI organization. Remember that, Cyrus A. Parser. I will be following this story in future weeks, definitely. This has really got me hooked, actually. Anyway, I'm going to jump to my third article now. Okie dokes. This one is a more modern version of the actual civil court case brought against a whole bunch of people. Now remember, this is a civil court case, but the interesting thing about civil court cases is anything that's admitted as evidence or testimony admitted in a civil trial becomes admissible in a criminal trial. Now what I'm looking at is a document by Cyrus A. Parser of the AI organization. I was just talking about him just then. And this document was filed on February the 26th, 2020, with the clerk at the U.S. District Court, Southern District of California. And then it's got the deputy's name that I can't quite make out. Anyway, get this. It looks like Cyrus A. Parser. Okay, so we've got the AI organization, which is incorporated, which is Cyrus A. Parser. And then we have the plaintiffs, that is people pushing the court case against the bad guys. Plaintiff, the world's people, victims of persecution, rape, torture, concentration camps, sex, human and organ trafficking and organ harvesting in China, Hong Kong, America, and around the world, not limited to democracy activists, Falun Dafa practitioners, Uyghurs, Christians, Tibetans, judges, lawyers, and journalists tortured and killed in China. John Doe's 1 to Unlimited. Now, in the plaintiff section where it says John Doe's 1 to Unlimited, that means anyone can become a plaintiff in this civil case. Now, so that's Cyrus Parser. And this is the people he's taking on. He's taking on Google LLC, which is Google Limited Liability Company, I do believe. And then we have Barack Hussein Obama, Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, Hillary Clinton, Eric Schmidt, Nancy Pelosi, John O'Brien, James Comey, Andrew McCabe, James Clapper, Facebook Incorporated, DeepMind Incorporated, Alphabet Incorporated, the World Bank, Neuralink Incorporated, Tesla Incorporated, Larry Page, Sergey Brin, Sundar Pichai, Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Amazon, Microsoft, Bill Gates, CISONPR Newswire, CNN, Anderson Cooper, Don Lemon, MSNBC, Rachel Maddow, James Clapper, The Washington Post, The New York Times, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, you might know that as MIT, and we also have Harvard, and we've also got Adam Schiff, Wyss Institute, DARPA, Qualcomm, George Soros. And not only do we have George Soros, but we have Soros Fund Management, Open Society Foundations, the University of Vermont, Joshua Bongard and Sam Kriegman, Rockefeller Foundation, Huawei, Boston Dynamics, Hanson Robotics, DD Chuxing, Megville Face, Alibaba, SenseTime, iCarbon X, Festo, the Chinese Communist Party, and Joe Doe's 1 to Unlimited defendants. So again, it's got a 1 to unlimited number of defendants, which means anyone else on the planet can be roped into this civil court case. And those names that I just listed, that's not even the entire list. Cyrus A. Parser is going after the big game at the moment, and all those names I just read off, they will be charged, but it's only a civil court. So it's going to be interesting to see how this turns out. And as I said yesterday, I'm going to keep an eye on this situation. And just a moment, I've got a few more bits and pieces to squeeze out of this document. Okay, this document is called the First Amended Complaint and Demand for Trial by Judge. And charge 1 is misuse of artificial intelligence, etc. And 2, endangering the human race with the misuse of artificial intelligence, etc. Now, this is an 84-page document. I strongly recommend that you read the whole thing. If you haven't grabbed it in YouTube, maybe Carmen can drop it for you again if you ask nicely. And so Cyrus A. Parser has taken on the big guns. He really has. He has gone after pretty much every evil player on the planet in a civil court. Whether he wins or not is it just doesn't matter at this point. Whatever he's doing, it's going to broach the public point. It's going to broach the point at which the public has to face these facts. So this isn't quite a drip. This one's a bucket of water thrown over the zombies. And I will jump to my final article. At this point, I thought it might be interesting to look back at the prophecies of Q. Now, this article is left of left, but once I get into it, you'll see why I chose this article and the importance of this article. It's a little bit long, so I might jump and pick and choose and so forth. But give me 15 minutes and I'll go through the whole thing. It comes from an outfit called The Atlantic, which is an East Coast American publication. And the byline is Adrienne LaFrance. And this is the June 2020 issue. I think this is relatively fresh. So allow me to go through this document, please. This is not the hard left. The hard left wouldn't address a document like this. The hard right would not address a document like this. But if you've got people who are not at either end of the polarity, you've got the chance to actually change people's minds. And even though this comes out of a left article, just listen to what I've got to say and read between the lines. The person who wrote this is actually publicizing Q. Positively publicizing Q, no less. Anyway, so this is all about the history of Q, what it's turned into, how it became mainstream. Anyway, I've prattled on enough. I'll get into the article. And it's about Q. If you were an adherent to Q, that is, no one would be able to tell you would look like any other American. You could look like a mother picking leftovers off your toddler's plate. You could be the young man in headphones across the street. You could be a bookkeeper, a dentist, a grandmother icing cupcakes in her kitchen. You may well have an affiliation with an evangelical church, but you are hard to identify just from the way you look, which is good, because someday soon dark forces may try to track you down. You understand this sounds crazy, but you don't care. You know that a small group of manipulators operating in the shadows pull the planet's strings. You know that they are powerful enough to abuse children without fear of retribution. You know that the mainstream media are their handmaidens. In partnership with Hillary Clinton and the secret denizens of the deep state, you know that only Donald Trump stands between you and a damned and ravaged world. You see plague and pestilence sweeping the planet and understand that they are part of the plan. You know that a clash between good and evil cannot be avoided, and you yearn for the great awakening that is coming. And so you must be on guard at all times. You must shield your ears from the scorn of the ignorant. You must find those who are like you, and you must be prepared to fight. You know all this because you believe in Q. Now, the author of this article, there's a mocking tone, but the mocking tone has been imposed on the document. And if you look at just the raw data, the actual information contained within that paragraph, it actually paints a pretty good light of the average Q follower. Anyway, I need a moment to go through my articles. Okay, so number one, we've got Genesis. The origins of QAnon are recent, but even so, separating myth from reality can be hard. Blah, 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 blah. And then it jumps to the Comet Ping Pong scenario. Comet Ping Pong happens to be the place where on a Sunday afternoon, 2 years earlier, my then baby daughter tried her first ever sip of water. Blah, blah, blah. Kids gather there with their parents and teammates after soccer. Local bands perform on the weekends. Children challenge their grandparents to ping pong while they wait for their pizza, etc., etc. Anyway, that day, people noticed Welch right away. An AR-15 makes for a conspicuous sash in most social settings, but especially at a place like Comet Ping Pong. As parents, children, and employees rushed outside, Welch began to move through the restaurant, at one point attempting to use a butter knife to pry open a locked door, before giving up and firing several rounds from his rifle into the lock. Behind the door was a small computer storage closet, and this was not what he was expecting. Now we get to the interesting bit. That just sets up this loony Welch who shot up Comet Ping Pong. Anyway, Welch went to Washington because of a conspiracy theory now known as Pizzagate. This claimed that Hillary Clinton was running a child sex ring out of Comet Ping Pong. Jumping ahead slightly, Comet Ping Pong was mentioned repeatedly in exchanges Podesta had with the restaurant's owner, James Alefantis, and others. The emails were mainly about fundraising events, but high-profile pro-Donald Trump figures such as Mike Cernovich and Alex Jones began advancing the claim. Jumping ahead, conspiracy theorists asserted that it was taking place and I'm talking about ritualistic child abuse, was taking place in the basement at Comet Pizza. There is no basement in Comet Pizza, and there were references in the emails to pizza and pasta, which were interpreted as code words for girls and little boys. So we've got the author putting these thoughts, these ideas, these argument threads into the public consciousness. Anyway, I'm going to jump ahead slightly. I need a moment to go through my files. Okay, jumping ahead considerably here. All of this taken together defined a worldview that would soon have a name. QAnon, derived from a mysterious figure, Q, posting anonymously on 4chan. QAnon does not possess a physical location, but it has an infrastructure, a literature, a growing body of adherents, and a great deal of merchandising. It also displays other key qualities that Pizzagate lacked. In the face of inconvenient facts, it has the ambiguity and adaptability to sustain a movement of this kind over time. For QAnon, every contradictor can be explained away. No form of argument can prevail against it. And I'm jumping over some pretty interesting stuff, but time is at a premium at the moment. Just a moment. Okay, so the power of I'm jumping ahead considerably here. The power of the internet was understood early on, but the full nature of that power, its ability to shatter any semblance of shared reality, which undermines civil society and democratic governance in the process, was not. The internet also enabled unknown individuals to reach masses of people at a scale Marshall McLuhan never dreamed of. The warping of shared reality leads a man with an AR-15 rifle to invade a pizza shop. It brings online forums into being where people colourfully imagine the assassination of a former Secretary of State. It offers the promise of a great awakening in which the elites will be routed and the truth will be revealed. It causes chat sites to come alive with commentary speculating that the coronavirus pandemic may be the moment QAnon has been waiting for. None of this could have been imagined as recently as the turn of the century. Q is a movement of its time. That's my own comment, and it wouldn't have occurred without the internet. So there's a nexus point of intersecting ideas here, and yeah. Anyway, just a moment. Okay, jumping ahead considerably here and also coming in slightly out of sync. We have a QAnon follower in Nevada who was arrested in 2018 after blocking traffic on the Hoover Dam in an armored truck. The man, heavily armed, was demanding the release of the Inspector General report on Hillary Clinton's emails. The FBI memo warned that conspiracy theories stoke the threat of extremist violence, especially when individuals claiming to act as researchers or investigators single out people, businesses, or groups which they falsely accuse of being involved by the imagined scheme. So, again, I'll go back to the idea of the author of this document not being able to write what he wants to write because he's got an editor who works for The Atlantic, and this is a left-leaning publication. So if you read between the lines here, this is actually a fairly good description of what the Q movement is. Okay, I'm jumping past the section that deals with the early Q posts. It's called Revelation in this section, Section 2, Revelation. Okay, this is an interesting section. Adherents, and that will be us, adherents to Q, are ever looking out for signs from on high, plumbing for portents when guidance from Q himself is absent. The coronavirus, for instance, what does it signify? In several of the big Facebook groups, people erupted in a frenzy of speculation, circulating a theory that Trump's decision to wear a yellow tie to a White House briefing about the virus was a sign that the virus outbreak wasn't real. 3 days before, the World Health Organization officially declared the coronavirus a pandemic. Trump was retweeting a QAnon-themed meme. Who knows what this means, but it sounds good to me. The president wrote on March the 8th, sharing a photoshopped image of himself playing a violin, overlaid with the words, "Nothing can stop what is coming." Okay, this is a fantastic article, but I'm going to skip ahead a little. There's a quote here, and it's from a QAnon adherent who was interviewed by whoever wrote this document. "I feel God led me to Q. I really feel like God pushed me in this direction." Okay, now we get to the interesting section. Professionals. Q may be anonymous, but leaders of the QAnon movement have emerged in public and built their own large audiences. David Hayes is better known by his online handle, Praying Medic. In his YouTube videos, he exudes the even-keeled authoritarian energy of a middle school principal. Praying Medic is one of the best-known QAnon evangelists on the planet. He has more than 300,000 Twitter followers and a similar number of YouTube subscribers. Hayes, a former paramedic, lives in a terracotta-roofed subdivision in Gilbert, Arizona with his wife. They just doxed the poor guy is what I will say there, but anyway. My dreams have suggested that God wants me to keep my attention focused on politics and current events. After some prayer, I've decided to do a regular news and current events show on Periscope. I'm trying to do one broadcast a day. The videos are all being posted to my YouTube channel. That is all. Okay, now we get to a rather curly one, and that is, who is Q? Any new belief system runs into opposition. In 2018, Matt Patton, a veteran SWAT team sergeant in the Broward County, that's behind enemy lines in case you didn't know, Broward County Sheriff's Office in Florida, was photographed with Vice President Mike Pence on an airport tarmac. Patton wore a patch on his tactical vest that bore the letter Q. So Q is popping up. Q is mainstream. And the idea that someone can write an article like this and understand that the broader community is going to understand the information and context within this document goes to show how far the Q movement has come. Okay, now we get to a section that is, again, really quite interesting. QAnon carries on a tradition of apocalypse thinking that has spanned thousands of years. Okay, the historian Norman Cohn examined the emergence of apocalyptic thinking over many centuries. He found one common condition. This way of thinking consistently emerged in regions where rapid social and economic change was taking place, and at periods of time when displays of spectacular wealth were highly visible but unavailable to most people. And this is true in America in the 21st century. This is the final paragraph of this article. The Seventh-day Adventist and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints are thriving religious movements indigenous to America. Do not be surprised if QAnon becomes another. It has already more adherents by far than either of those two denominations had in their first decades of their existence. People are expressing their faith through devoted study of Q drops as installments of a foundational text. We can discuss that later if you want. Through the development of Q worshipping groups, that's a pretty painful jab from the author there, and through sweeping expressions of gratitude for what Q has brought to their lives. Does it matter that we do not know who Q is? The divine is always a mystery. Does it matter that basic aspects of Q's teachings cannot be confirmed? The basic tenets of Christianity cannot be confirmed. Among people of QAnon, faith remains absolute. True believers describe a feeling of rebirth, an irreversible arousal to existential knowledge. They are certain that a great awakening is coming. They'll wait as long as they must for a deliverance. Trust the plan, enjoy the show, nothing can stop what is coming. And that's the final line to this text, and I'll read it again. Trust the plan, enjoy the show, nothing can stop what is coming. It will be my guess that the author of this article is himself a Q follower, working in a left-wing rag, and he's put as much real information as I think he dares to in this article. Anyway, I've been prattling on for hours, well, an hour or so. So, okay, so we'll have a song. And Spanner just dropped a YouTube link. Do you want me to go ahead and play that? Hello, who have I got with me?
Yeah, it's a good song, Dumpster. I think it'd be worth playing.
You can play this, mate, because I think it relates to everybody. We're not here, we're getting a little bit, older and that. We're starting to wake up to what's happening. There's a lot of kids out there that are hurting, and there's a lot of kids that were actually, you were talking about Trump, you were talking about, a lot of things that also involved around this. And this is, as I said, we're not actually here for us no more. We're fighting for the freedoms of our children and their children to have a freedom after.
Mate, I'd love to be able to play that, but I don't think copyright will allow us to do so.
It's on YouTube. It's in a private. It's not a private. It's public.
Yeah, look, I don't think I'll touch it because I'm in a pretty dicey position with YouTube at the moment. I've already had one strike and 2 warnings.
Even just put the name out there for people to find. It is a beautiful song.
Sure. Carmen, could you play us a song? And while that song's playing, can you drop the Laura Daigle Rescue into YouTube chat?
Sure can.
Beautiful. Awesome.
Thank you, Carmen.
Beautiful. Banjo plucking, moonshine drinking, hooting and a hollering. And we've got Scope with us. Would you like to say good morning, Scope? How are you?
Yes, good morning, everyone. Hope everyone's having a great day.
We certainly are. We're crunching information.
Nice to meet you.
Quite enjoyed that plucking on the banjo.
Yeah, it was quite good.
Okay, we're up to that section of the night where we have a guest usually. And may I introduce to you Spanner? The man's an absolute legend. He operates his own motor vehicle under common law and does not register his vehicle. So if you think that you're out there on the front lines pushing back the cabal, Spanner's been doing it for years before you, that's for sure. So Spanner, start where you want,
yes,
finish where you want. You've got no time limit. If a question pops up, I'll give you a quick ding ding, and you'll be able to answer the people out in YouTube. And I'm sure there'll be questions asked of you from the people in chat. Could you start? Remember, not everyone has the kind of, well, everyone's at a different stage in their journey. So don't be afraid to do the basics, the common law 101 for the people. And remember, you're talking to Americans, so include the American Constitution. Take it away, Spanner.
G'day, people. G'day, people from far lands. I'm glad to be here to have a chat with you. It's about your common law rights, your inalienable rights, and also your constitutions. As Americans have just found out that they've had two constitutions. One is a corporate entity, and one is their original constitution that Trump's actually fighting hard to get put back in place, as you've probably seen with the different flags, the different symbols and everything like that. Well, the same things happened in Australia. Now, I'll talk more on the situation of the Australian side. The first three words in the Constitution is "whereas the people of." So that means whereas the people of all of Australia, New South Wales, Victoria, South Australia, Queensland, Tasmania, humbly rely on the blessings of Almighty God, have agreed to unite in one as a federation. So it's an indissoluble federal commonwealth under the crown of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland, and under the Constitution hereby established. So what you've got to understand with them, when I say them words and they're in the Constitution, is the main words is whereas the people of. That means not politicians, not police, or any other. It's whereas the people, you, the people, have all the power, because that's why we used to have what they called as a referendum. Now, I'm talking in layman terms. I'm talking as Aussie slang. Yes, people might pick me up on different words and different things like that, but feel welcome to ask questions. Whereas the people, the words "whereas the people" are established the fact that, you know, it was the people that federated Australia, and not any other government or government. Whereas the people is neither discriminatory nor racist. Those three words also establish the fact that the people are the sovereign of our beautiful country and above all parliament in Australia. A lot of people don't know, because in 1975 they removed everything from the Constitution out of the schools. It was like it was there and then it was taken out, because I believe that they didn't want the people to know about their Constitution. And you'll probably find, if you walk down the street or stood on a corner and asked people Do you know that if we had a constitution, or do we have a constitution? A lot of people would not know. So it's a little bit of digging, and also knowing a bit of the history of what is involved in that constitution. Well, the first nine clauses in the Constitution are a situation of how the Parliament should run, and I mean not just should run, be ran. As you understand, they removed the sovereignty of the parliaments. They gave the sovereignty to the people, and that was where it was laid, is that the people are the power, not the parliaments. The reason because of that is because many heads can make great decisions. The people will speak and tell everybody how it actually runs. They put the questions out. If anything needs to be changed in the Constitution, then the people decide. Now, according to that, you've got to understand there's quite a few books that are involved with the actual Constitution, and that's habeas corpus. You've got the Bill of Rights, 1688, which was actually come to law in 1689, and you've got the Magna Carta. Magna Carta is your rights, your common law right.
Ding, ding, ding.
Say again.
There's a question from Marielle Nazak out in YouTube. Does your Constitution give you right to bear arms?
If you go back into the history, it doesn't state to bear arms, but it does state to be able to protect yourself under self-defense.
So the same way that Americans are allowed to own an AR-15 in case the King of England gets in their face, we should have the same clause, but it wasn't spelt out. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. The situation being is every man, woman, and child has a right to protect themselves, and they also have the right to be able to stop rogue governments and to protect themselves, and also any foreign power trying to take over their country. So yeah, the actual defending yourself is a part of the country, and also the Constitution. What people don't understand is the difference between America and Australia. We're a democracy under the Commonwealth, and in America, you are a republic. They're different things, but different ways of running the country, but they're virtually similar. When it comes to, like, you have Congress and everything like that, you pick a president, and virtually what we have is people go to a referendum, and what it's supposed to be done is the people pick their candidates to run for Parliament, and then it goes through a process through the Governor General, and then it's virtually narrowed down to the people that actually go in there. Where now at the moment we have a two-party system that is actually the parties pick their candidates to put forward for the Australian people to vote on. Where, as I said, it's supposed to be the people that pick their candidates to go into Parliament, and then voted on in a referendum. When they go into Parliament, as you will find if you get a copy of our Constitution, there's no such thing as a PM, a Prime Minister, he is virtually it is made up. There shouldn't be any parties in our parliament over 25 people, because then it is classed as a corporate body which cannot sit in any House of Parliament.
So would that mean that for the past 120 years or so, everything that our parliament has done has been illegal?
It's not been for 120 years. It's mainly about 100 years where everything changed and started. They thought, well, beauty, we'll pull this one, we'll make parties up, and then work our way through. Now, from that into the history, they started to build their parties up, and they got right through. And I think it was about 62, they started to get together and then started to form the parties bigger. And what happened was the parties got bigger, and then there was two parties. So virtually it was a majority vote went to them two parties, which cannot happen because it's for example, the more heads around a table that are independent, that get a problem or get put an act to the people, can sit down, discuss it, and if you've got individuals sitting there thrashing this out, they end up with a good solution at the end. At this time of life, the two parties have got a heap of stuff that they just wheel and deal with between each other, and anything can be passed in. Well, that's not the way it's supposed to be. It's the people that vote in what goes in the Constitution, not the Parliament. You've got to understand that anything in our Constitution, it actually has to go through the King James Bible. Clauses of the King's represent a King James Bible, a clause in the King James Bible as well. So it's fair on the people.
Hang on, can I just jump in for a moment?
So yes,
what if I had a group of 24 people that wanted to form a political party? Could I have a political party of no more than 24 people and still occupy seats in Parliament?
It's a bit hard on that one, as I said, because you're forming a party of 24 people, and not 25. It's very close to it, so you're still going to have majority no matter what, where it's supposed to be independent. You see, that was the reason why the power was put to the people. Any legislation, and remember, Parliament and parliamentarians are legislators, not lawmakers. The people are the lawmakers.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about the referendum system and why they're not allowed to make laws? They're legislators, as you said.
The reason being is like, as I said, the power was put to the people, not to the Parliament. In Parliament, they are legislators. They put the legislation together. They go through an approval situation in the Parliament, and then any legislation that to change anything, laws or anything like that, then is put to the people at a referendum to say yes or no to that legislation on the basis that it convenes with the King James Bible, like clauses in the King James Bible, and it does not cause any harm, injury, loss to any other.
So instead of having an incredibly complicated legal architecture that the average person can't understand, it goes back to common law.
That's right. Exactly right. where our country is a Christian, based on a Christian religion. Our constitution is based on a Christian religion, and it's, as I said, it's a democracy of the people.
Do you want to talk a little bit about America for our Yankee friends? Because they were in the same situation, but they were in might I say, a similar situation. Would you agree?
Yes, I do. As I find and done some research, and that exactly the same thing here has happened in America. Now, President Trump is actually, gone through everything. He's got beautiful people over there that are, historians and everything like that, and found that virtually what's happened in Australia is virtually happened over there, that they had two constitutions, one that was put forward to the people and brought in, and another one that overrode the original.
Okay, Mark's made a great comment here. 1688 Bill of Rights, subjects' arms. That the subjects, which are Protestants, may have arms for their defence suitable to their conditions and as allowed by law. To me, that sounds like we're allowed to have military weapons.
Well, if you've got to protect your country, mate, from invasions of other countries, and that, you've got to have protection to protect your family and child. So that would be it. That I was actually mentioning. Where over in America they have the right to bear arms.
Do you want to go back a little bit in history to the original Magna Carta? As I understand it, there was a period of war in the UK, and
Yes.
Feudal barons. It was a feudal system at the time. Feudal barons wanted to curtail the king or queen's power. I can't remember which. And they drew up the Magna Carta. And I believe that makes Sorry, go ahead.
The Magna Carta, what people don't understand is the Magna Carta and the habeas corpus and the Bill of Rights 1688 established in law on 1689. Virtually, that's where our constitution was made up from, which has big ties to them, and virtually was made up from them, and also other constitutions around the world for the betterment of the country as well as the people.
Yeah, I noticed a couple of weeks ago that Trump was delivering an address from the podium, and the flag in the background didn't have the golden fringe. It had a blue and white fringe on it. I did some research and I found out that's the president's personal flag. Do you want to tell us a little bit about Admiralty law? And
what mainly the difference in flags and that is virtually what happened was the corporate world, corporate entities started to take over actually both governments, and virtually they had their flags. It's very little changes, but the changes existed like symbols and different things like that, and people didn't realise what was going on. It's the same in Australia. We had the coat of arms with the lions and the crown and the shield, and next minute we've got a kangaroo, an emu, and a star over the top, Star of David over the top. And people try to deny it, but when you look at the Constitution and of the Australian Constitution, you will find the original had the code of the Great Britain coat of arms that was given to us. And that's where we became an independent nation.
Okay. Do you want to break that down into practical terms, what it's for people like me? The system that I'm living under, it's illegal. We know that. But how does that actually affect me? How do I fit into the system, or any person for that matter?
Well, virtually what's happened is the corporate world has come in, they've taken over your constitution, usurped it, and put in place a new constitution. Now, with that new constitution, what's happened, and this goes back to 1973, it started roughly around, I think about 1962, and then it worked up. 1973, we had the Whitlam government, which also cancelled the Commonwealth, and meaning Commonwealth, meaning common man for the common good, out of our constitution. So meaning that man and woman became persons, which means entity, a corporate entity, and they started taking our rights, our common law rights, our inalienable rights, and everything away from us, because then they took the sovereignty. They realised without the sovereignty, they could not profiteer. Where the people had the sovereignty, and what wealth came out of our country, as well as the blood, sweat, and tears of people building this country, it actually, they virtually usurped it and took over as a corporate entity, which is actually registered in America. It was all to do about money and greed, and not sharing at all.
Okay, now this might seem like a bit of a curly question. Who owns this?
Yes,
who owns this corporation that we have instead of a constitution? It was formed in 1973. I think I just heard you say. Who owns this corporation, and how do we take it back?
Okay, what's been happening is from 1973. They've been implementing different rules, regulations, and everything like that without going through putting it through the proper procedures. They had their own agenda. There's been, and I say there's other entities involved in this, and virtually what happened was they made up another constitution, which was the Australian Act of 1986. Now, that was under Bob Hawke, which virtually came in and they had a situation where they virtually put it in. They put it over the top of our constitution, realising that they could not. But what they did was put that over. So they had two constitutions, and that's one that was legally done, used the wrong word there, lawfully done by a referendum, by the people for the people, and that was the 1900 Constitution. Now, when that was registered, that came in 1901. January 1901. Now, the thing is people get mixed up because the Constitution was made in 1900, but it was only gazetted and passed in 1901. If you check the first page of of the original Constitution, it has the date up in the top right-hand corner. I think it was the 5th of June or July, off the top of my head. I'm doing this all off the top of my head, so it sort of, everything started to change from there. And then virtually it worked up right through to the actual 86 Constitution that they actually put over the top. Now there is a case in the Great Britain Higher Court in front of a full bench that's been placed there and also accepted, and the question is which one's lawful. The 86 Constitution, because they were both registered, but the thing was is one didn't go to a referendum of the people. So what they've done is taken this Constitution that hasn't been to a referendum of the people, and they've registered in there stating it was, but there's no records in the actual what they class as the Hall of Records, and that's at the House of Lords, of any other constitution other than the 1900 Constitution that has been registered as and considered that has been to a referendum of the Australian people. So as I was saying, is it's virtually the argument in the Higher Court at the moment is which one's lawful. The one that's been to the people at a referendum, the people said yes. In their terms, it's been carried, or the one that hasn't been to the people and hasn't not carried. So that's one simple question that needs to be answered, and that's in the Higher Court in Great Britain at the moment, under Rod Cult. Now he was a.
Can I just butt in for a minute, mate?
Yes, mate.
Okay, so there's a High Court ruling on the validity of the Australian Constitution. Is that what I just heard?
There is a question of validity,
and it hasn't been settled yet.
And virtually what's happened because of the coronavirus and that coming in, everything's come to a stop because they actually closed the courts down, and they're waiting, which should be open sometime this month or early next month, to take the case forward. Now, I have information that's virtually that it's been accepted, the case has been accepted, and what's actually happened now is the Chief Justices and Kim Beazley has been put on notice. They have received that notice to file a defence. They had 21 days to file the defence, and virtually never. So, it's in a situation now that they had their chance to file a defence and they didn't. So virtually the case actually moves on the actual factual evidence put in front of the full bench.
Okay, can I just butt in again, mate?
Yes, mate.
Okay, so we're looking at a situation where we've got 100 years of criminality. So the High Court ruling, if it does go ahead... Go ahead, explain.
Yep, keep going. No,
okay,
you're
so
right.
What happens if 100 years of criminality by our government is established in a court of law? This to me seems like a surreal, absurd situation for a country to find itself in.
It is, and the thing is what you've got to understand too is it's not only the actual situation of the Constitution's being recognised or what Constitution is there, is you've got to realise also of all the rights, the liberties, the inalienable rights and everything like that that's actually been taken from the people, including referendums. In this time between 1900 to now, there has been 44 referendums on different things, and legislation, and only 8 have passed in all of that time. That is how hard it is to change anything in the Constitution, because it's for the betterment of the people. It can't be for anything more: financial gain, greed, power over the people. It's got to be for the betterment of the people and betterment of the Commonwealth and the country.
Okay, follow-up question. Under our current situation, is there a legal recourse for reclaiming the original valid constitution, or do we have to actually
Sorry, can I interrupt there? You broke up, mate.
Oh, sorry about that.
You're right.
What was I going to say? That's right. Given the current system that we're in, we're obviously looking like transitioning into a new legal system. Is there a legal recourse within the current set of rules that will allow us to transition from one situation to the next without too much birth pains? Does that make sense?
Well, the situation is like, as I said, the problem is the Constitution, and there's only one answer that can come out of the higher court. And I won't say anything, but I think people get the gist of what's going on. And also the way that the actual court said, you've had your 21 days to file a defence, and you never. So silence is golden. They usurped it, and they've moved forward. Now, as I said, they go on factual evidence put forward to them. They make the decision. Now, the problem is from 73 up to 86, when they brought this constitution in, is that it means that anything from 73 to date does not stand at law. It has no basis in law. So virtually what happens, it goes back. The people get their rights back under common law, and we keep going from there. And what there is now is you only have to look around the world. This is, this is pretty big, but you only have to look around the world that there's a lot of countries that are getting, involved in the common law side of things. There is a link that you go to, and it's called Common Law Courts. Common Law Courts, Great Britain, and international.com. And that goes on further from there. What they're doing is trying to bring back the common law rights, so giving the power back to the.
Okay, can I prompt you with another series of questions, mate?
Go for it, mate.
Okay, so I'm sitting here, I'm living in this bizarro world where my government is behaving illegally, treating me like chattel, literally. I'm a commodity. Even my birth certificate is registered with
actually,
the
if you, actually,
we're on the same page, mate.
Yeah, but if you check the records and go back to, I'll just see if I can find it for you. I think it was 13037. It was a law that virtually was put forward by Bill Clinton. It was, if you
hang on. Do you want to go over those details again? And I'm sure someone will be able to dig up the reference.
Yeah, it's 13037, and it was an executive order by Bill Clinton. You'll find on clause 2-B that he brought it in that the government had recognition and ownership of persons, people, with hands and legs to be able to control people. Now, which under UCC law and human rights, that if anybody actually puts people under that situation, then it's called slavery.
And we've just had Puppy Max join us. Do you want to say a quick hello? Because we're grilling Spanner for the precious information he provides.
Hello, Puppy Max.
G'day, world!
Mate, your Patrick Gunnell stuff was awesome, but we're in the middle of Spanner's section, and go for it. Go for it, Spanner.
Yeah, so I just off the top of my head, it was executive order. It was Executive Order 13037, I'm pretty sure it was, and that was where virtually Bill Clinton, when he was president, actually signed people up to be under the control of government, like government owned the people. So if you have a look through that, and it's virtually just been following through under the corporation that's apparently taken over Australia as well, because we're corporate identities. When we go to court, we are not recognized as man and woman as we are in common law. All that is disappeared under all these acts and legislation that they've been putting forward and passing themselves without going to a referendum of whereas the people of Australia. So it virtually follows suit.
Beautiful. That's actually a really good time to call a break. Aussie Patriot has been waiting patiently. Can we give her 15 minutes and then we'll get back to Spanner?
Yes, go for it, mate.
Aussie Patriot, my friend, time to shine. Sorry about screwing up the order there. It should have gone smoother than it did, but you've got 15 minutes, which means 10:25. You hand it over to Spanner again, mate.
I'm enjoying listening to it. Hey, how are you? Hi, Puppy Max. And Scope. I was enjoying listening to it. It's always interesting to... Hey. It's always interesting to listen to Spanner. I've got the privilege to chat to him all the time, so I'm always learning something new, put it that way. It's very entertaining to listen to the facts. Once you know them, it opens your mind to a whole new world of what's actually been going on. But anyway,
it's freaking bizarre, isn't it, Pup? Isn't it, Aussie?
It's actually quite disturbing, to be quite honest. But what can we do? All we can do now is move forward and try to adjust and correct the wrongdoings of some of our corrupt past politicians and state, I guess.
Can I just say a quick hello to Sativa Breeder. How you doing, brother? Sorry about that. Go for it, Aussie.
You're right. So anyway, sorry. What I have to apologise for Chucky. Chucky had to take off. It was getting a little bit late for him, and he's got a family, so he had to leave. But so my partner in crime is no longer here with me, so it's up to me. I hope
darling.
Who knows, darling? I hope I can do him proud with my explanation of it all. So I guess here goes. Basically, a couple of weeks ago, we came up with this concept to use the red enzyme flag, which is our true flag, our first initial flag that they then changed without consent, without a referendum, as what Spanner has been explaining in regard to Constitution. It goes into a lot more details, not just our flag, but our emblems, our a lot of things has been changing over time. And again, all behind the scenes on the quiet without any consent by the people. No referendums, etc. So we came up with this idea of having this red flag and making its way around the country. A couple of weeks ago, as you were all aware, we went to that rally and we noticed quite a few people at the rallies in different states had the red ensign flag, which was quite nice to see. And basically this flag, we wanted it to go around the country, sorry, and get a group of people in each state. So, for example, Brisbane or Melbourne, and all the patriots. Doesn't matter what, if you follow Q or if you're a supporter of Trump or if you're conservative, or as long as you're a patriot and you believe in we the people and our country and what it stands for and what our flag stands for and everything else, to meet as a group in specific locations. And we were going to just group as many as we could find, and as many people that turned up to the point that we designated, and would have this one flag with the red ensign flag, and we'd all take photos and take a video. We could have a sign to say where we go one, we go all, etc. And what we thought was that we were going to give this over as a gift from us, we the people of Australia, who are awake and aware of what's been happening in our country and to our country, to the States, to America, and the flag as our gift to General Flynn. As we know, he's a 3-star general, and if anyone, he would understand and comprehend the importance, but also to show our gratitude and support for what he's doing and battling, obviously, over in the States with, well, we all know what's going on, I guess. I don't have to go into details on that. And I'll send a bit of a message here as well. As you all are aware, we've had this COVID. I won't say what I think of it. That's irrelevant. But basically, General Flynn is apparently meant to be turning up at a specific location on a specific date in America. Sorry. Once he's got the restrictions lifted and was able to travel outside of his state. With this COVID, the restrictions and travel has all been cut. We're finding that we can't even get a parcel out of Australia without, having to wait a minimum of 6 weeks. And that was going to obviously not be enough time for us to get the flag around the country and give us enough time to get to General Flynn. So we had to sort of alter what we're going to do and how to get past that hurdle and see what else we can do for him. So we have then come up with a little slightly different of an idea or a concept, and we've called it basically Follow the People's Flag. Sorry. So in discovering what's going on with the states and following everything that's been happening and discovering that they also have had a corrupt system going on and their constitution replaced, or there is 2 there now, just like us here. And we've seen sort of a theme happening. It looks like there's quite a lot of other countries under the Commonwealth Crown as such that this has happened to. So it's not just Australia, New Zealand or Canada or America or UK, but there's quite a lot of countries that this has happened to. So we thought, well, you know what? We can still do this. Let's take our time. Let's get this flag around the country, get groups of people in different locations to meet specific times, and do group photos with this flag. You can have a message for General Flynn if you like, or you can just do it for Trump or you can do it for Q. Whatever your feelings are at the time that you want to send as a message, let's just do that.
Can I butt in?
So, sorry?
I just wanted to butt in and say, all it is, it's basically a gigantic thank you from the people of Australia to a man who has put everything he has on the line.
Put everything on.
He put everything, his family, his job, his money, his standing, his social credibility, his reputation, everything he had was put on the line, and the man came through perfectly honoured. He still has his honour.
Exactly. And it's basically our message of gratitude and thanks, and show him our support as us, the Australian people here. And especially for the fact that we know him being a general would actually appreciate something such as our flag, our original flag, and appreciate what we've actually had happen to it. So anyway, back to the journey of this flag. At the moment, it's up north of the northern tip of Australia. And what's going to happen is it's going to travel down all the way around the country. Once it gets over to Victoria, which is where Chucky's from, it will then go offshore. Now we have, it's been really, really, what we started was just Australia. And we found that people have just jumped on board wanting to get involved. And obviously it's the symbolism of it. It's not just our flag, our red ensign flag, but it's also the flag of the people. And because it's happened to so many other countries, it's got a more significant meaning behind it for everyone. So, yeah, we've had a lot of other countries jump on board, like Ireland. We've had people from Germany that have put their hand up. So it seems like what's going to happen is once we've travelled around the country and it's gone back to Victoria, Chook will then send it to the next country that's put their hand up, obviously the closest, and it's going to be a journey for this flag. So it doesn't have to be just from Australia, but we the people as a whole that have had the deep state or our leaders corrupt our country in whatever way or means that they've done it, you know, whether it is the flag or whether it's the constitution. For us, it's multiple. So once it goes right around the different countries, it'll then make its way to Barbara Flynn, who will then give it as a gift to us, to General Flynn from us as free people, I guess. It's more of a gesture with a bit of a message behind it. And I guess it's anyone can jump on board. Anyone can, you know, get involved. We've got different people in different states in Australia that are going to be the organiser for their state. I'm doing Queensland, for example. We've got another gentleman who's doing New South Wales, so he'll be organising different meetups in different parts of the state. Chook is obviously going to be doing Victoria, and we've got a couple of people in other states as well. So you can actually then track it and see where it's going to be and join in, basically. Take a photo with the group of people that are going to be there. It could be 5, it could be 50, it could be, who knows. So we're going to be promoting that. I just managed to complete my first blog for it. So I did a post on my blog, and hopefully people enjoy what they see, what they read. It's more of an educational thing as well. We will have a little note going in to explain why we have the red ensign travelling. Why not?
Okay, so follow the flag, and will you keep us posted, Aussie Patriot?
Yeah, follow the people's flag.
Follow the people's flag, sorry.
Yep.
If you drop that link into general text, I'm sure Carmen wouldn't mind dropping that into YouTube. So,
okay.
Do you want to tell us what the red ensign flag actually means? Because we got an international audience.
Well, that I think is something that Spanner will explain a lot better than I do.
Have you got anything further to say before we pass it back over to Spanner?
I have a question
No,
for Aussie Patriot.
go for it.
When I was traveling up to the United States and back to Holland, I had to take my meds with me. And I was getting into trouble at first. And then someone told me you can send your meds ahead of you through via a diplomatic mail. I was just wondering, didn't you use diplomatic mail to get the package delivered to Barbara Flynn?
Very interesting. I will keep that in mind and see what we can actually achieve with that. I have not heard of it.
It always worked perfectly. No problems at customs. You know, you go and you pick it up where you addressed it to. The person who's there picks it up.
Oh, okay. Well, I will put it over to Chuck because that'll be his domain. He'll be looking after that. So, yeah, for sure, definitely. We'll look into it because that's going to be something that we don't know how long it'll take. Like I said, we were trying to aim for a targeted date for this appearance that General Flynn will be having. But the 6 weeks that we got told by our postal system, due to all the parcels being banked up and limited flights in and out, we just, even if we did it within a week of travelling around, which is impossible anyway, there was just no way we were going to make it there in time. It just wasn't going to get to him. So we thought, well, let's just, take our time and make sure that more people, can meet up and sign up on, take a picture, with it and have a sign. And so it might take, 3 months for the flag to go right around and travel around the globe. It might take, a year and a half. But we're willing to take that on the chin and know that when it does arrive to General Flynn, hopefully he'll be quite happy about what he gets in the mail from Barbara. So, yeah. We can only see how it goes. So, yeah. But I will put the link up so everyone can follow it. At the moment, it is actually up north, right at the upmost tip of Australia. And it's travelling, it'll be going down to another part of Queensland in the next, probably next week sometime. It will hit me, or arrive to me roughly in a week and a half. And in 2 weeks' time, I'll be down in Brisbane. I've already organised my meet with, I think I've got about 10 to 15 people already turning up. So, and we haven't even promoted it. That's just from word of mouth. So hopefully we end up having 250. But yeah.
So if you got a few thousand, that would be a thank you that General Flynn will actually feel. He'll actually understand the sentiment behind the gift.
Yeah. And they're not going to be just, at any location. We've chosen very specific monuments around the country of significance, So, yeah, hopefully the pictures will all be updated. So as you see the post on the blog, you'll see that it will get updated regularly as it travels through. So the pictures will be uploaded and details of where it's been and where it's going to be. So if anyone wants to, they can jump on board, get in contact and ask, can we come and meet you at the next one? Can I have some details? We're more than happy to get that information over and get them to come and join us. So the more the merrier.
Beautiful. It's good to be, sorry I swore. By golly, it's good to be associated with good patriots such as yourselves. It really is.
Please, I have to ask you, do not criticise if I've got any errors in there because I've been frantically trying to get it done for tonight's show. This is something that's happened in the last, how long, Mark? 3 days, I think. So we've had to rearrange the plans, obviously. So
yes, the plan did change somewhat.
Please excuse any errors. I will have a look and double check everything, make sure it's all spot on the weekend. But I will put that list,
You
that
did
link up.
admirably, Aussie Patriot. That was very well delivered. And you got a promise to keep us posted.
Will do.
Beautiful.
Definitely.
Have you got anything to wrap up with Aussie Patriot? And then we'll let Spanner tell us a few bits and pieces.
Would you like to tell them about the flag and all the details on our beautiful red Enzo flag banner? It is a lot. I actually like it.
I've actually put the file away somewhere.
Oh, brother.
I'd actually like to hear more about Spanner and the Constitution. And there was a question from Storm that was given to Spanner. I've forgotten where that was.
It was just up there. Yeah, it was common law. She was stating that the common law is defined by a body of legal rules that have been made by judges as they issue rulings on cases, as opposed to the rules and laws made by the legislators or in office of statute. I'm not quite sure what constitution that actually comes under in New Zealand comes under. As far as I was concerned, they were actually under the Commonwealth. So whether they were I'm pretty sure that the New Zealand was actually the same under the same constitution as the Commonwealth. But I just wrote some notes down here that the United Constitution, written by Quick and Garron, make the following comments. The opinion approaches near to the truth, is a supreme, absolute, and uncontrollable authority remains with the people. The opening words of the preamble also proclaim that the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Australia is founded on the will of the people, whom it was designed to unite and govern. All acts of Parliament in Australia since 1919, with the signing of the Treaty of Versailles, have not been lawfully enacted due to the fact that there have been no orders in the Privy Council, EI, the Queening Council, for the appointment of Vice-Regal, executive representative of the Crown of the United Kingdom, to grant the royal assent to act as statute law, which was produced when the Commonwealth of Australia is under the Crown, meaning the Crown is the power, it's not the person under it. So the Crown of the United Kingdom, as per Act of the UK, Parliament to constitute the Commonwealth of Australia, Victoria 63 and 64, Chapter 12, 9th of July 1900. It follows that the appointments of judge and magistrates are fraudulent. A judge without jurisdiction is to be disobeyed with impunity at a legal maximus. Australia is a democracy, which literally means the people rule. EI sovereignty lies with the people, who exercise that ultimate authority to make or impose laws by way of unanimous judgment of 12 free men impaneled as jurors, who are, so help me God, in order that they can administer justice. The law is the law, and even the police and government have to abide by it lawfully and constitutionally. An order, fine, or notice by a police officer or a single magistrate is not a judiciary order. It is illegal because it violates the common law rights and comes under slavery in the Criminal Code Act 1995, Section 268, 10 at cancel laws and conflict with common law are any cancel law that conflicts with common law is illegal. To deny it, yep.
You've got a couple of questions out in YouTube. Tess Lala says, dismantling the Commonwealth before they sell everything is a good idea. And the next comment is,
can I answer?
Hang on. Crown Agency is still alive and kicking. Nothing changes till they fall. Do you want to address those points?
Right. Also, now dismantle the Commonwealth because they sell everything is a good idea. No, don't think that way. The Commonwealth Constitution is one of the best constitutions in the world. If only people read it and understand it, and then go through the preamble, the Magna Carta, and Habeas Corpus. I know it's a lot to take in, but the thing is, when people realise that the power lies with them, that is where you have your freedoms and your inalienable rights. Understand, this has been happening over 30, 40, 50 years, that it's been implemented on top of our Constitution. They say that our Constitution stands, but if our Constitution stands, you would still have common law and you would still have inalienable rights. And also, you would still have your right to speak, your rights to interact. So, it's very hard. It's not dismantling the Commonwealth. It's putting it back together. It's removing one that's covering it up and bringing it back into the place and into the schools so people understand it.
Okay, let's turn our attention to something more practical, and we'll start with a comment from Storm out in YouTube. An officer can arrest you for not stopping, not giving you your details, or if they have good reasons to believe that you're giving them false or misleading details. You can be fined up to $10,000. I'm not sure what country Storm is from.
Okay. Well, I think the way she was speaking, is that right, Storm? You were from New Zealand, is that right?
There's a delay between now and chat, so it'll take a little while for Storm to answer us.
Well, under Magna Carta and common law, it is a part of Australia today. It declares no free man shall be taken, indeed imprisoned, either disposed of or outlawed or exiled, or in any manner destroyed, except by means of legal judgment of his own peers. Indeed, the law of the land, common law, his own equals plural, is a jury of 12 people. A single judge is not an equal and can never be, because no individual is unbiased. There hasn't been a referendum to tamper with Section 79, 80 or 109. Any order by a single judge, magistrate, registrar, or anyone without your consent is invalid and also carries a severe penalty against them, as listed in the Crimes Act of Section 43 for obstructing the course of justice. Habeas Corpus Act, which obtains that unless and until a jury trial is held, an event of a jury naturally occurs, no costs or payable by either side in the proceedings, regardless of any direction from any parliament. Only a jury can award costs and any ruling made by a single judge without the consent, or a jury is without the consent of an order from a jury, is illegal and invalid, period. On the 20th, and there was a case there on August the 20th, 2001, the penalty was fixed at 25 years jail for both solicitor and judge who committed the crime of cost orders. It comes under slavery in the Criminal Code Act, section 268(10). In where are we? In 1996, the Higher Court of Australia, the highest court in the land, section 71, in what is called the Cable Principle, declared that the Commonwealth remains one and indivisible, with only one judiciary power. No different rules in such state. Page 791 of the Constitution, second last paragraph, it states clearly, neither federal and state parliament are not sovereign bodies. They are simply legislators with limited authority. If they attempt to pass laws in excess of the authority of the law, in nullity, and it comes under no authority and cannot be enforced. I get mixed up with New Zealand because the thing is I believe that the way I believe is New Zealand is a part of the Commonwealth and of Australia. So I'm not quite sure what the situation is in New Zealand. But as you can see, that there's a lot of things that have happened in Australia that are not lawful. The difference between lawful is that's common law, and legal is statute.
Okay, there's a comment from out in chat. Teslala says, doesn't the buck stop with the Governor-General? What is the actual Governor-General's role in all this nonsense? And would he be a president under the new system?
Under what new system? So the thing is
from what we're in at the moment.
Yeah, well, the thing is what you've got to understand is the Governor-General is a representative of the Queen. Now, if you check right through your records and everything like that, you'll find that no Governor-General from prior to, I think it's in late 60s, early 70s, have had the judicial power of the Queen.
Okay, so we're living under an illegal system, a regime, I think would be the adequate word here. What practical actions can I take on a day-to-day basis to reassert my sovereignty as a free man on this land? I think I've said
virtually what it is everybody's got to realise that under the situation that we are now is authoritarian. Under what we are in common law is a bigger responsibility. That's caused no harm, no injury, no loss to another. It's a bigger responsibility, and if you cause any of them situations, then you are liable for your actions. And that's not only just constitutional law. It is also natural law, and it's also God's law.
There's a comment from Teslala, GG, Governor-General, can dissolve Parliament.
Yes, he's supposed to. But as I said, the ramifications of him not being under the Queen, because remember got rid of the Commonwealth,
Yes.
right? Now, what you've got to understand is when we got this constitution given to us, we became an independent nation. She is only a figurehead over Australia and the constitution to make sure things were run the way it should.
Yeah. Actually, what I found quite interesting was that when I looked up, because I didn't even know who our current Governor General was, I brought up his info, his details, and he actually has like a little logo. His name. And the funny thing is, it is actually the corporation logo, as in the Commonwealth, in capitals.
That's exactly right. Now, if he was under the Commonwealth,
Yeah.
he would be under our original logo.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that
Now,
tells.
there's a couple of cases. There's a couple of cases that people could look up. It's Ronan versus Banner in 1970. It's called. It's VR 24 at P249. Full bench of the Northern Territory Supreme Court. A police officer have no powers whatsoever to arrest or detain a citizen for the purpose of questioning him or in the fascinating their investigation. It matters not at all whether the questioning or the investigation is for the purpose of enabling them to ascertain whether the person guilty of a crime known to have been committed, or is for the purpose of enabling them to discover whether a crime has been or has not been committed. If the police do not act perpetrate exercise of such a power, their conduct is not only destructive of civil liberties, but is unlawful.
There's a comment out in YouTube from Sativa Breeder, and Sativa says, can't be free until land tenure is addressed.
That's right.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
We are land tenure, which means that the land tenure was virtually given to us. There's a big argument about the original people, but there's lots of arguments there on when they came or where they were here. There is actual factual evidence of other, but yes, they have been recognised. It's like the Parliament at the moment are saying that they're not recognised in the Constitution. Now, in my link, there is an actual picture in the Constitution of the clause out of the Constitution stating they are virtually recognised in it, and virtually to give them special laws.
3 hours went pretty quick. We've got another 15, 20 minutes on the clock, maybe. Can we talk turkey, Spanner?
Yes, mate, go for it.
Right. In Australia, we are not armed. We don't have militias. We have no effective weapons.
We were illegally disarmed, yes.
Illegally disarmed, and we won't get into the Port Arthur thing, but it was a false flag that they snatched our guns. That's the story.
Yep, that's virtually what it is.
Okay, so the only people in Australia with guns are the police and the army.
That's right.
What kind of response can we expect from the army and the police once they find out? Once they find out that, yeah, go for it, Ozzy.
Don't forget the criminals; they also have them in the under the black market. So yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone
Sorry.
does.
What you've got to understand is, look, please everybody understand that I'm not against law, the law, or basis of law. Yet what people do not understand is police go in there and they sign up with good intentions. It's not everybody in there that knows what's going on. There's a lot of police in the police force that don't even know their common law rights, inalienable rights, or anything like that. They're supposed to be peace officers, not police force, because no state in Australia can make a force. There's only one force, and that's the military force.
Okay, here's the $62,000 question.
Yes, mate.
What about the army? What role does the army play? Would this be some sort of military operation to restore law and order, or do we restore law and order and then deal with the military? Or
it would have to be. What you've got to understand also is the armed forces are the people's army. They are not government's army.
Right. What's the upshot of that, mate?
Well, virtually what is going on is the legislation is getting mixed up with the three. There's separation of powers. There's Parliament. There's law. And and religion. Them three things cannot interfere with either one. Legislation makes legislation to go to the people to make law. It goes to courts where a full judiciary jury makes the law. They are the ones that override. The judge in a court is just a chairperson. He gives the orders down on, right, you've committed this crime, and it's been found guilty. You've been found guilty by the jury. He's got to use case law to see, and use it to how much time or what disciplinary action that you're going to receive. It's the jury that make the guilty verdict or your innocent verdict, not the judge. 12 of your peers. Now, with the lands...
No, go for it.
Sorry. With the land side of things, what people don't understand is, they say that the stolen people, well, I have a different point of view on that, because when the first settlers came here, and there was a lot of people taken from a country and brought to another country for 7 years hard labour at Port Arthur. They never left. So who's the stolen people?
Yeah, well, that's a question for another day, mate.
Yeah. And that's something to think about.
Okay, can I ask you to get your crystal ball out here? You don't have to be right on this one. It's just your expert opinion. How on earth does this all play out?
I'm not an expert, mate, because I'm not an expert, mate. I'm just a person that virtually is trying to do the right thing by all and get the information out there for people to research, so they can actually find this themselves and see what they are missing out on. Because, as I said, Constitution, the Magna Carta, Habeas Corpus, all locked in together. Take one away, you take the lot away, including your rights. When they dismantled the Commonwealth, it's the common man and common woman that they took away.
Okay, so how on earth does this play out over the next 6, 18 months, 3 years? What can we expect, if anything? And what happens if we lose? These are important questions. So basically, if you had to make a guess, what would it be? How would this play out, mate?
Well, for starters, I would call for a full independent inquiry into the constitutional law and constitutional rights of the people.
And this would all be occurring against a backdrop of arrests and prosecutions of our leaders. So it's going to get messy and complicated, mate.
Exactly. And there's got to be, like as I said before, there's got to be the right. It's what the people need to realise, that it's got to be sorted out the proper way by the law. I'm never against the law, and when you look at it with all your freedoms and all your rights and all your inalienable rights, you are free people of the land. You were born on the land. You are not on the sea under maritime law. And this is what people don't understand. No one can do anything to you unless you give consent.
Not only that, I'd put a finer point on it. It's not a matter of giving consent. It's being active, aware, and informed enough to say no.
Exactly.
It's not a matter, it's knowledge. Knowledge is power.
That's exactly right. And virtually, there's a lot of case law out there, from Magistrate Duncan, Reynolds, Melbourne, July 2013. There's lots of cases I could go through, and what people don't realise is, nothing what remains unrebutted is sustained. All above creates the truth in law. It's all about the truth. Please also be aware, law is supreme, natural law, universal law, law of the land, above all, God's law. Legal and legalese is something that politicians and police and the Bar Association play with to entrap people to their will, all under assumption, presumption. Thus, a crime against humanity is being committed, creating unwittingly slavery using deception and deceit. And that came from a Sir John Quick, LLD, and Sir Robert Randolph Garen, M.A.
Okay, you got 4 or 5 minutes on the clock. Would you like to bring it home for us, Spanner?
Well, as I said, what people have got to understand is their rights. And look, don't abuse the police. They're there, but they are under orders. And what these police have got to also understand is they've got a choice. They have a choice of saying yes and no. They have a choice of acting on what they're ordered to. And if it's right, then it's right. If it's wrong, then it's their choice. they've got to understand that. And this is where the education side of things is with the police. They've been taught all the way along in legalese and also in, all kinds of things that they've been told that's been brainwashed into these people. But the thing is what they've got to also realise is they've got a family and they've got kids that are being brought up in the same situation. And they've also got to understand that that is a risk to their own families, let alone, to what happens.
That's exactly right. I actually just put up just a little while ago that it's our education. I mean, they took the Constitution away from us from schools. I think it was 1975. Correct me if I'm wrong, Spanner.
In 1975, they took all the Constitution, Magna Carta, Habeas Corpus,
Yep.
and also the Treaty of Versailles out of the schools, and virtually left everybody to, dumb us down. So you did not realise what your actual rulings and rights were. Common law, they do, and that's where they usurp the common law and your constitution without you knowing in stealth.
They also took Latin out of school so people wouldn't understand how language is formed and works.
Yeah.
And that's another thing too, is what people don't understand is when you're talking to these people, they're talking a different language to you. And the language is, I'll give an example. If a policeman says, do you understand? And naturally, because of the way you've been taught, is you say, yes, I understand every word you're saying. But what he's actually saying is, do you understand me? Do you stand under me?
Yeah, and these people in our law, in the law, like lawyers and judges and police, hospitals, nurses, all of them. If you think about the fact that we haven't had our Constitution being taught to us in schools for so long, they have gone through life, through education, through universities, applying for jobs, and wouldn't have known any better, because obviously their version, as in the government deep state version that they put through in 1986, is what they've been studying. That's what they get.
Yep.
The
books that they've been using is the books, the Book of Styles of, the Chicago Book of Styles, and also the Australian Book of Styles, and I think it's up to number 7 now, or 6, I think it is, and it's a totally different language, foreign to you, and it's and the way they, as I said, it's foreign to you, and it's and the language is to entrap you to your will.
Yeah.
So people, please do some research and understand that you are a man and woman of the land, not of the sea.
Okay, guys, can I give you 90 seconds to wrap it up? And
no, not 90 minutes.
sorry to get you there, Ozzy.
Yeah.
Scope, sir, are you standing by? Repeat test communication. Scope. Oh, there you are, sir. How are you?
What you call this morning, yourselves?
Really quite good. We've got a few minutes on the clock, 15 or 14 minutes. During that time, would you lead us in prayer, please, sir?
Yes, absolutely. If you could give me a few moments to and secure my comms, I'll definitely say it.
Understood. Standing by. Okay, guys. This channel is getting throttled by YouTube, So the only way that I can get people to tune in to this little radio outpost or whatever it is, the bunker, the Dumpster Truffle Show, it's only going to grow if it grows hand to hand, word of mouth. So share it with your friends, share it with your family, share it with woke folk. We won't ask you for a cent. We have no agenda other than making sure that that the future is a decent future, a future worth living. And yeah.
I think it's really important that we do share the channel, because some of this information that we have all shared tonight, it is vital that we the people know. This is our core being. We need to know what we as people have the right to do and right to know, and without people knowing about it and being aware, what's our future generations going to be like? You know, we need to start being that voice. We need to be out there and trying to educate people best we can. So yeah, I think it's very important that, especially tonight's show, that people do actually try to get it out there and share it so that we can educate more people out there.
Absolutely. Individually, we're insignificant, but we are like goblins and snowflakes. We are dangerous in large numbers. And when Flynn was talking about digital warriors, he was talking to us. YouTube, Discord, he was talking to us. And it is only through our work that Q is now mainstream. There was an article that I read earlier on this in the program, and it's the necessity for information. We have to educate people and empower them through knowledge. This is exactly what we need to be doing. You were dead right there, Aussie Patriot.
As I said, Dumpster, don't blame the police. They're there to do a job, and that supposedly is to protect you. But the financial side of things of becoming a corporate entity has interfered in their jobs. It needs to be stopped, and it needs to be pulled back under the system of common law. Now, if you don't understand the difference between yourself and your corporate entity, it is your name. Your first given names are your first two names. Your last name is your family name. The government department, it is all done in capitals, all in virtually one line, all capitals. That is corporate entity. People need to understand and do some research on what a person is and what a man, woman under common law is. There's a few websites that actually explain a lot that I'm that I am a member of, and that's knowyourrights.com.au. That has lots of information on there. And there's also another one, aussiespeedingfines.com. And also, if you want to know the difference between your name, you can go to common law, the common law, common law, the common law courts.com. And there's a lot of information there as well. And as I was saying, at the moment, common law courts are actually setting up in Australia and going to be putting information out there for people so they realise the difference, and more and lots of information that you can look up and actually share with your people and understand. Everything that I've stated here tonight, you can go through and you can look up Constitution, you can look up law and verify everything that I've said. I'm not here to disillusion you. I'm not here to deceive you. We've got together a group of people and forming the common law courts in Australia, and we're moving further and further forward. It's up to you. What it comes down to, if you don't know your rights, you have none.
Okay, we're pushed for time. So, Scope, sir, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Please proceed then.
Thank you, Dumpster. Thank you, guys. Let's pray to the Lord. Father God, we come to you with prayer this evening and this morning in other parts of the world. We thank you, Father, for all the wonderful things that you have given us. We thank you for this day. We thank you for our salvation and our friends, our family, and our country. Lord God, we also want to thank you and praise you for bringing your children to this time, to this moment, and giving them the tools to be able to fight the evil ones, to be able to fight the injustice that is being perpetrated upon your people, your children of this world. Lord, we thank you for showing us and awakening us and guiding us and putting leaders in countries before us to help guide us through this fight. Thank you, Lord God, for bringing such talented and well-rounded and loving people that care about your children and the country and the world as a whole, to help guide us and show us the light that you bring that will defeat the evil, that will defeat what is happening in this world. These times that we live in, Lord, we understand are part of your plan, and we are so grateful to be a part of it. We thank you for blessing us with this opportunity to take back our lives, our children's lives, the future lives of all of our countrymen and their families. We thank you for the wonderful leaders in the military that are standing up and supporting our president here in the United States, and the leaders who are standing up in other countries around the world against this crime, against this rottenness that has plagued us for so long, for so many decades. Lord God, we know that you hear us and that you are with us and that you stand for us and that you fight each and every moment, each and every second for us to give us the advantage to win this battle. We thank you for your love and grace that you share with all of us and the guidance that you give us and the understanding. Lord Father, help our sons and daughters to remember this time so that they may keep it in their minds as they grow older, and to be able to keep the things that we fight for today fresh in their minds so that they may understand what true freedom is under your law, Lord. And we thank you for these people who have brought the information to us today and have shared what they know and given us guidance as to how to find these things out for ourselves. It is so important, and we praise you, God, for this opportunity. We ask, Lord, that you protect each and every one of us here on this board, each and every one of us here in the country of Australia, around the world, and the people out on YouTube who contribute so much to this platform and bring the ideas, the thoughts, the questions, are opening the eyes of others and are working for this cause to free your world. Thank you, Lord Father, for all of the small victories. We cherish them. And in these things we pray in your Son's name, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir.
Amen.
Okay,
Thank
we've
you.
got 3 or 4
Amen.
minutes. Do you guys want to go through what you've been dropping this evening, and anything that's critical, drop it into YouTube chat now before people run away. Publicize whatever you want, any website or movement, or make any comment that you wish. We've got 3 or 4 minutes to play with people, and after that we play Rick Grabenik, and that's the end of the show.
You go first, Oz.
Go for it.
Go, Oz. Ozzy.
I'm here, sorry. I had to relocate for a quick second. So, yeah, thank you for having us, Dumpster. It's always a pleasure and honour to be here with such awesome patriots out there. So, yeah, if you wish to join us on the Follow the People's Flag, it doesn't matter what state of Australia or what country you're in, just DM me via my Twitter handle, and yeah, we'll work something through to get you included. So yeah, thank you everyone, and God bless. Be safe.
I'd like to say thank you to Dumpster for having us for tonight. I hope that it was educational for you, but the education is within you. You've got to search and research these things. Don't think of yourself. Think of your children. Think of your children's children. We need to straighten this out for them, not us, for them. We need to move forward, and so they've got their freedoms, so they've got their rights back, and they don't have to go through what we've had to go through for the last 30, 40, 50 years. It needs to be straightened out. It'll be a transition that won't harm anybody, because the truth, you can't go over it, you can't go under it, because in the end, it is still there. So please, people, do some research for yourselves and for your future, as well as your children's future. Thank you, Dumpster, for inviting me tonight. It's been educational, and and I'm glad and to be able to get the message out there a bit, and sort of, educate people on what they're not really sure on and how to go about it. The information's there, you've just got to search.
Isn't it educational?
That's right, edumacation. Edumacation.
No joke.
Yeah.
Do you have a Twitter handle that maybe they could follow you with your...
The Twitter handle is Spanner322. There a lot of information that I've actually spoken to on this show is in there. There's copies of the Constitution. There's copies of clauses. There's a whole lot of information in there that you can fire up and just go through and just be safe, be cool, live life, see the light.
Okie dokes, folks. Last 90 seconds.
Just wanted to say thank you again for this platform and all that you guys do for your country, and for all the ears that hear, that want to listen, and all the eyes that want to see. Thank you for opening the doors and letting others understand what it is that they can truly do.
And I thank you, sir, for. Sorry, I said that word again. I thank you for coming in and joining us and giving us that prayer. As I said, it's for the future of generation. It's for the future of our kids. They need to wake up. They need to research and take back what they're supposed to have.
Yes, it's so important. And to continue the education of it and to let them understand what they lost and what we have been able to regain so far and what we hope to regain. And
Mr.
what
Trump's,
they must continue
Mr.
to try
Trump's
to hold
working
on.
very hard over there, mate. Mr. Trump's working very hard over there. General Flynn's working very hard. Mr. Barr's working very hard. And,
Yes.
and it's just been one hell of a ride for them, if you don't mind me saying, because that's what they're trying to do, is bring the evil to light so people can see it for themselves.
Can I just
Absolutely. And travel to the light, not the dark.
say something quickly?
Can.
We would like to keep the fact that it is going to General Flynn, well, as quiet as we possibly can. I'm sure it will get a lot of attention and traction as time goes by. So the inevitable will be that he will find out. But if we can just keep it to ourselves for as long as we can, that'll be great. So you guys have got a little bit of a sneak peek and heads up that that's where it's going to be going to. But we'd appreciate it if it's just kept between us for a while.
Peace.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Peace,
Peace.
not hate. Love, not
Exactly.
war.
Light, not dark.
Okay, that was the Dumpster Show with Scope, Aussie Patriot, Carmen Morrison, Mark Les, Spanner, Puppy Max, and Chook Chook also made an appearance this evening. Do you guys want to say a quick goodbye, each of you? Or not? Up to you.
Goodbye, all those out there who are listening. Have a great evening and get good rest. Because tomorrow we keep fighting them.
Good night. Peace.
Good night, everyone. God bless.
God bless. God bless. God bless everybody.
Yep. See you in the battlefield.
Okay, folks, that's it. We are out. I've got to let the video. I'll see you in 5 minutes.
Have a great weekend, everybody. Love you guys.
You too.
Thank you, Carmen.
Thank you, Carmen. You too.
There are times in life
Thanks,
when
Carmen.
things get overwhelmed.
Thank you.
And I've gone as far and as long as I can go. And when I need the most, my failing friends astound me. Lord, you're there, you bring comfort to my soul. And I believe in you. Every word that I've heard, and I know it's true. And when I'm walking through the valleys, you will lead me through. 'Cause I believe you're with me, and I will trust in you. I must walk by faith and not by sight, you told me. And there's rewards for those I know that seek your face. But I can use a glimpse right now, Lord, of your glory. And in my darkest hour, you give me strength. 'Cause I believe in you. Every word that I've heard, and I know it's true. And when I'm walking through the valleys, you will lead me through. 'Cause I believe you're with me, and I will trust in you. I raise my hand, sing hallelujah. For you are 'Cause you've walked my shoes, you felt my pain and suffering. And you took the nails from me while I was lost. And all the trials that I go through, Lord, they are nothing, no, no, compared to what you went through on that cross. I raise my hand, sing hallelujah, for you are worthy of all praise. And when the storm comes, Lord, I am running to you. I will glorify your name. 'Cause I believe in you. Every word that I've heard, and I know it's true. And when I'm walking through the valley, you will lead me through. 'Cause I believe you're with me, and I will trust in you. And when I'm walking through the valley, you will lead me through. 'Cause I believe you're with me, and I will trust